All right, guys. So welcome again. Sorry about that. We're having some technical problems here. Um, let's give it a just few seconds. Let me see if we can get. Uh, there you are. Hey, Chad.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Good, good.
Yeah, sorry about the difficulty there.
You're good. You're freeze right now for me. Are you? I can hear you like fairly well. You
You
can
can
hear
hear
me?
me?
Yeah, but I can't see you.
Okay. For some reason, the camera didn't come on. Um,
Let me bring you back in. Just stay there. All right. Let's see if we can win this battle today. In the meantime, thank you guys for joining. We have Steve. Thank you, Steve. Monday was great. We have Cosmic Caller. Thank you, guys. We have Isaac Frias. We have Maria Luisa here. Let me see. It is connecting. Let's see. Let's give it another shot. I think I can hear you, Chad. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, and I
Okay.
can see you.
Okay. For some reason, yeah, your camera is uh, freeze on my end. Do you see your camera on your end?
No, my lower is black.
Hmm. That's weird. I guess, it will be a podcast 100%. It will be a
Well,
radio interview. If you're cool with that, and if you can see, I have, a few things to share with people tonight. So as long as you can see it, we're all good.
yeah, no, I apologize. Difficulty on my end.
No problem.
I'm not normally an Instagrammer, so I apologize.
So tell us who you are. Tell us who you are then.
Yeah, so Chad Seelye with ALLDATA National Accounts. My journey to get here really started 20 plus years ago. I was introduced into the collision space through a company. It was very similar to a Maaco, actually. It's called
Okay.
Miracle Auto Paint. And they had, I don't know, 6, 7 locations here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I knew a guy through another person, and one thing led to another. I was just out of high school, and said, "Hey, you want to come to work in the collision paint area?" And growing up, I had Dad had always had something that he was tinkering with in the garage, what have you, and so I said, "Yeah, sure." So first day on the job, this was early or late '90s. I show up. They give me a Rubbermaid bin of Mitchell manuals,
Hmm.
a little Ford Ranger pickup, and a 2-wheel car dolly, and said, "Don't come back until you have us a car to fix." Right?
Yeah.
So I start running up and down Car Dealer Row, right? The used car lots. And just got my what handed to me because I didn't know anything, right? So I I don't know, maybe it was probably 4 weeks in. I came to the owner and I said, "Hey, look, man, I'm getting killed out here. I got to know what I'm talking about." is there any way I can go back into the shop and actually learn, how to, because I have no idea if you're, stripping a hood for lacquer check or if you're doing this or doing that, I had no idea. Don't know, what it really takes to do body work. So he was nice enough to give me about 6 months. Went through all the various phases, as a prepper, painter, body man, did some frame stuff, so on and so forth. And then next thing you know, production manager leaves. So there's a spot, right? So nice. I'm like, yeah, I raised my hand. So kind of start getting into production. And at that point, I mean, we did very little collision work. It was really more dealer and fleet, predominantly just production paint. So kind of rocked along for a few years doing that. Then had a manager quit. So I raised my hand, started running that location. Next thing you know, you got another one that, something else comes up. And then now I'm running 2 locations. So ended up running 3 at one time. And, I just kind of looked at it. I was young at the time. And I was like, I'm kind of running around crazy. And there's a whole huge collision space here, right? Mm-hmm. So I was driving down the road and I saw a sign on a Service King banner saying that they were hiring. And I thought, it might be interesting just to understand, because at that point where I was at, this was years ago, you just have a different opinion or a different perspective of what, a more corporate-y type collision environment would look like. So applied there, started with them. Actually, it was store number 13. If that gives you any idea, they're 300 plus now. Wow. Yeah, worked with started there as production manager, kind of evolved through management. And then one day, they came to us and said, hey, Allstate just came and told us that they were going to build body shops in Dallas. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Sparked my interest, right? Because there was no body shops that they were going to build from ground up, greenfields. So I did a little bit of research, ended up being actually the first hire here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and spent about 15 years, everything from body shop manager, training, process mastery, procurement, everything just about it other than HR. Then we were acquired. We were acquired by Service King. Okay. I left, came back, and then spent about 2 years. Then I went to work for an Italian company called CMAC. They do body shop design and catalytic drying robots in the body shop space. Okay. Kind of got a belly full of that, and then there was an opportunity with ALLDATA, and I've been a consumer of the product, used it for probably 12, 15 years, right? And then
so you knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, we find ourselves here today. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Whoa. So I think we have a lot to talk then. I like, to don't follow, any rules or anything. Just on this live session, not in my life. But we'll go back and forth, on your past, your present, the future of the company and all that. But I'm interested, and one point to start, tell me about that Italian company that you mentioned. You say it was designing like body shops, like layouts and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was called CMAC, SYMACH, for System Machine. Okay. They're out of Bologna, Italy. And so they came to the States, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And so basically we would start with a owner-operator when they were in the design phase, whether it be a greenfield or a brownfield, and we would work with them from a process perspective. So if we could speed up, so if you could get a boost cycle from base to clear in 35 minutes, I mean, what is it today, right? I mean, it's 100 and something, 120 minutes.
Yeah.
Roughly, right? So if I could kind of sub-optimize the paint line, I could probably get a lot more throughput, right? And so if you think about it, then you have to be more productive in body, disassembly, all those kind of things. So there was some logic behind it that said, okay, historically you produced at this rate. So we would go in and look at their staffing model, the rate of pay, the hours, the square foot. I mean, kind of a complete assessment. And then we would take that back and put it into a model, if you will, and then come back to them and provide them with a kind of projected outcome. So a single booth with one painter, if the process was followed in an 8-hour shift, could produce 8 units, right? And then, so if you think about the typical booth, what are you getting, 5 to 6 with one painter? I mean, on average.
Correct.
You're not doing completes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it was. They're definitely more advanced in Canada than they are here in the States. Just unfortunately, there's a lot of capital that has to go into it, right? About a 1 point something investment.
Yeah.
So.
I know what you mean. Yeah. And how did you find that company? How did that company even cross your path?
Well, they actually reached out to me. I had, you go to industry events, you socialize with folks, you do this, you do that. The owner, Osvaldo, he pinged me on LinkedIn, and I let it sit for a couple weeks and thought, it might be worth checking into. And one thing led to another, and he said, hey, would you mind flying up to Vancouver? I'm going to be, because he's from Italy, right? Lives there. That's where the factory is. He said, I'm going to be in Vancouver at a CSN conference. Would you mind coming up and let's just kind of hang out and talk, right? Next thing you know, he says, hey, would you mind being the vice president of, sales for North America? So, yeah, sure, why not?
So let's bring all that into the transition with ALLDATA. Like you
Sure.
say that you were a consumer, you already knew the products, you already knew for your years of experience before. So tell me a little bit about that transition when you started, and which place or position was the company at that time, comparing to if we we're going to talk about today as well, but what did you find?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So there was an opportunity because obviously we're speaking more on the collision side, but the core product really has been the repair product, being able to provide 100% OEM repair procedures to the mechanical industry. So I think it was 2007. If I remember correctly, 2007 is when they introduced their collision product. Well, they started back in '86. They were acquired by AutoZone in '97, I believe it was '96. Yeah. So they had about 10 years, and then they were acquired. And then in 2007, they brought in the collision. So for me, I was intrigued to figure out. I'd always dealt with, mechanic shops as a sublet vendor, right? So I got to send something out for alignment. I got to send something out for a light or what have you. But I didn't know really how they became profitable, right? So the opportunity for me was to come in and learn that space. Obviously, I had the collision knowledge, but that's where I started, was really trying to digest and understand the collision space. I'm sorry, the mechanical space.
Mm-hmm.
And then just through, over time, there was an opportunity to get into national accounts. So, today, my primary customers are the Calibers, Service King, Car Stars, Maacos of the world, right?
Yep.
So it's been an interesting journey. I mean, I think the lens that the collision industry looks at us through, I don't think they have a true appreciation that there's so many other facets that we bring to the table, right? So if you think about it, we've got a training platform, we've got a mechanical management system, manage online, we've got a tech assist program. So if you could envision kind of like what we're doing right now, but on the other end of the line is the ASE master tech that's helping a technician through a problem repair, right?
Yep.
Through an
Yep.
app.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who would have thought of that, right?
Incredible.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
you just kind of continue the evolution, and now we've got our own diagnostic tool, the only one really in the
Yeah.
industry.
Before we get to
Yep.
today's day, I found a picture actually that describe the earlier stages, and
Yep. That's where we started.
right
You had to
behind,
buy the unit.
yeah, right behind my picture here, my face is a stack of what, CDs, or it seems like
Sure.
CDs. So it's just for people to understand and appreciate the evolution of the company. And even we talked with Kristen a couple of weeks ago about she said we did a really good job to put the information out there, but we're still not so good in making it digestible, right? Which I understand her point 100%, because I'm searching for these things every day too. At the same time, I found this picture and I'm like, oh, okay, this is not digestible. This is not available. This was like a pain to go through this, right?
Oh man, unbelievable where we've come from. I mean, if you just think about, if you look at what you're looking at now, think about getting information from the OE manufacturer. How long would it take you to get from the time you get the content to get it to that point in your PC? Good Lord, right? So with the latest platform we have today, we're publishing daily. We're actually going to the OEs saying, hey, we need more information to put in. So anybody that's used our product knows that hopefully knows that there's a library service built into it. And if the information is published, you'll get it. All you gotta do is click on that button, tell us what you're looking for. We've got a ASE Master Tech that's got ALLDATA sitting there, and he's looking at it. And if it's in the product, he'll guide you to it. If it's not in the product, he'll go to his other computer that's got the OE on it, pull it down, shoot it to you in a PDF, and on average, we'll get it to you in 30 minutes or less.
That's fantastic. That's, again, anything, as you say earlier, anything that help, to save time in the process, and in something this, complex, right? We always talk about how imperfect, is the industry, and how difficult it, is to do any procedure. So it's amazing that you guys can do that in that short period of time. What is the percentage you will say that of the data that is actually in the ALLDATA system? There's a percentage that still is out there. There's a percentage.
Yeah, so I would definitely say that over 95% of the vehicles on the road today, the vehicles that are showing up in our shops, over 95% of them, we have the content or have the access to the content. We have the most information in the industry. We have estimating platforms and things of that nature that have content, and that estimating is their specialty, and repair procedures, OE, direct information, unedited is our specialty.
Okay. Well, you say unedited. That's for a reason, or it's just a technicality?
Yeah, it's definitely for a reason. What we get from the OE, if you think about it, we're really an aggregator of OEM data. So we get the information in a variety of different formats from the manufacturers. We take that and put it into a common platform. So no matter if it's a Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, whatever, right? You know where to go to get the information. So we don't, only thing that we do that's not 100% OE is our enhanced color and wire diagrams that are a Bosch product.
Yeah, which
So we still provide you with the OE, but we also give you the enhanced that have the ability to go across multiple pages, things of that nature.
actually I do have, sorry to interrupt you, but you just mentioned the wires, and I do have a little video here. Let me stop the music, but I think it's very interesting, the whole thing that you can separate the colors and all that. I think that's like huge. I remember, when we have, demo this, this feature to pick the colors is I don't think that there's anything else out there like you can do something like this that quick.
Not to the level and degree that we have here. I mean, it's a tool that, think about how else would you do it? You'd print out each one of those sheets, you'd lay it across the top of a toolbox, and you get a marker and you trace them. Well, how long is that going to take?
And you're like, but this have a color, this wire have a color. Why I can't just...
The beauty is, even if you don't have a color printer, just there's a function to hide the wires and print it out, and it's going to be bolded, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, that's completely amazing. Yeah. All right, Chad. So, you mentioned, a lot of people, pretty much the whole industry, the biggest collision places and the biggest shops as well, are using the tool. What you will say that is, the biggest difference, just in case, there is a business owner watching this, or there's a technician that, rather test another tool. What do you think that is the biggest, difference, with all the other tools that we know there is, few out there?
Yeah, I would definitely start with 100% OEM unedited and speed to market. We have 2021 information in our product today. Just kind of let that soak in a little bit, right? So historically, it's taken a lot of time to get the content, get it, formatted, if you will. It could take you a quarter or what have you. We're in a position today to be able to provide that within, weeks, right? And we do a good job at prioritizing kind of that common vehicle that's out on the road today, right? So, if you've got a, I don't know, let's say you got a 2020 Nissan Altima, and you got a XYZ smart car. Well, we prioritize that to get it to the masses, right? You guys are going to see the 2020 Nissan Altima before you're going to see the smart car.
Correct.
Right? So, I think we've got a good understanding of what the industry needs and desires. Obviously, it's always going to be asking for more, and we get that, and we work to prioritize the requests as we get them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because every night that we have someone that develop a product, or in this case a software, last night we have a Sergio from the Gunny Wheel, amazing invention, an universal wheel, and I was asking him about feedback, right? He is an individual, and probably his setup, it's not huge, and he can be closer to the end user, especially when you design something yourself and you put it out, you took the risk, you did all this and it worked. And he explained it beautifully last night, how passionate he is about getting all that feedback and work with that feedback to improve the product. We have the impression, with big companies, big corporations, there is a gap in between, and we don't know from where the changes come from. We normally tend to think that it's not about the feedback because they don't do, what you were requesting or what you complain or what you don't like about the product. How is ALLDATA with that? Like, how does it work with the
Yeah,
feedback?
well, and what's beautiful about our organization is we've got people on the ground going in, day out into shops, be it collision, mechanical, you name it, anybody that works on vehicles, and they're absorbing what the ear on the ground is saying, and then we provide that back to our folks back in Elk Grove, California, and they look at it and start to prioritize. Hey, we hear this, we see this as far as a need. Let's go validate it, and then let's work with our development teams to put that into the roadmap, if you will, of the development cycle. There's a lot of activity, a lot of conversation around ADAS, right?
Yes, definitely.
So, it's just kind of consumed the industry, right? That and scanning. I mean, at the end of the day, those are the only two things that people are talking about. So, we heard that loud and clear, and we've got some things in the hopper that will make it easier and more in your face, if you will, as far as the ADAS equipment and things of that nature on vehicles. So we've got some things in the hopper I think people are going to be very excited about and pleased to finally get. The challenge is technology or IT, whatever you want to call it, doesn't happen overnight, right?
Correct.
A lot of moving parts. We want to be able to make sure that we provide a quality product, just not a product.
Correct. So let's talk a little bit about scanning. I was actually in a webinar today with the Collision Hub people, and it was great to hear 6 or 7 shop owners or managers talking about scanning and the importance, when to do it, when to don't do it, and which part of the process and all that. And I know that there is different ways basically to do it. There's different tools out there. Some of them, have an actual physical scanner that the shop have on it. Some of them is an application on the phone. Some of them is a web-based page. Some of them is a phone call to someone else that have all the OE's stuff in the room. How it is with ALLDATA, and if there's options.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and you're right. That space is ever evolving. So, as ALLDATA, we looked at the opportunity, the space, really from both mechanical and collision, and we see a lot more activity on the collision side just because of it's not got to the mechanical side yet, in my opinion. Okay, because if you think about it, a vehicle rolls off a car hauler, it could be in an accident within minutes. It's going to show up possibly in your shop.
Correct.
However, if it's a mechanical failure, it's going back to the dealer under warranty. Make sense? So that being said, what we developed was a tool that is a little bit different because it's a subscription model. Okay, so it's not, hey, you need 10 grand or XY for an XYZ scan tool. By the way, every year you're going to need to go spend, $1,000 for upgrades or updates. Most everything we do is a subscription model. So let's just kind of think that through. So if you were a business owner and you knew the liability of not scanning every vehicle, right? Because just because there's a light on or not on, the light not being on really doesn't matter. So
Right.
in the collision space, right? So plugging into every vehicle, being able to do that at a subscription versus a pay-as-you-go, that's a whole different thing. Now we've got a profit center potentially versus a markup of 25 or if it's a flat fee, right? So the tool we have, one thing that's unique is ALLDATA is built into the tool. So let's just kind of think that through. I'm an estimator. I've got my tool at my desk. Customer comes in. We kind of go around, do a walk around the intake process, plug into the vehicle, and within a minute or two, on my tablet, I've got a report that the customer sees, and at that point you're really building some confidence and trust in that customer, right? So I then can email that to my estimating, dummy estimating, or not estimating, but typically guys will set up a dummy email account. We'll send all pre-scans to it, all post-scans to it. That way we've got a digital record, right? And it buys confidence from the customer, because let's say there aren't any codes, but I've done a health check on your vehicle, Mrs. Jones. Your safety is important, right? And so, if you kind of extrapolate that out, earlier I'd mentioned this tech assist piece that we have, we can create kind of a virtual piece. So let's say your skill set in your shop is not all A techs, right? So, the reality is we got a lot of C's, a couple B's, and maybe one or two A's, probably one A. That's reality. And so the challenge is that A, he's always over helping the C's get through their issues, right? So you're never getting the hours out of the bay that the A is supposed to be in. So with this tech assist, we have the ability to take those C's and make them C pluses, the B's B pluses, and then get the hours back out of the A bay that you needed. Does that make sense?
Correct.
So you combine that with the diagnostic help. So let's say you plug into something and maybe it's a little bit over your head, right? So you've now got a master tech that guides you and says, hey, that one might not be something you want to get involved with. Or, hey, yeah, let's get this done, right? So it can be a safety net as well, versus just having a block that you plug in and somebody else remotes into it, and here's a here's a XX bill that you can only make a certain percentage on. There's value there, right? It's a different approach.
Correct. I was gonna say that for whoever is watching and thinks that this is useful, definitely there's different again approach, because your shops are different. If you do a lot of collision, if I think about the Maaco world, there's shops that they do collision. There are shops that are DRP. There are shops that they don't attach any collision at all. But if you do, definitely a subscription can be more beneficial than paying as you go. Especially today's day,
Well, there's in the pay as you go, there's no guarantee that you're going to get reimbursed. We read stories every day about the big carriers that they take this position or that position, and all we're trying to do is fix cars properly for customers, keep them safe, and that's at the end of the day, that's all we're doing. It's the big industry that becomes the challenge. And if I've got to outlay, X amount of dollars to give myself confidence that I did the right thing for the customer per car, that's an expensive model. But if I've got a tool that you know, the reality is after you scan about your fifth car, everything, and you charge for it accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, you could have every ALLDATA product that we own or that we provide. It would cover all that. You'd be in the money. Does that make sense?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So from a scanning perspective, we definitely have a space in the collision mechanical area. We see the collision space adopting it at a pretty rapid rate just because it fits. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and tomorrow, we're going to have Larry Montanez. We're going to talk about this a lot as well. Scanning, and you say, the safety of the customer, should be the priority. I mean, it is the priority in ALLDATA, but it should be the priority pretty much across the whole process. As soon as you get those keys.
I would just want to interject there that the reason that we pride ourselves on being 100% OEM
Mm-hmm.
is just that, the safety of the customer, right? So if there's something that is rewritten or omitted, let's just kind of think down this path for a second. So you would agree with me that if you were welding on a vehicle, you would disconnect a battery?
Correct.
Okay. When was the last time you pulled a procedure for that?
Yeah, we don't do all the time. Yeah, we should.
Right. So it's kind of a little pet project for me, but just kind of going down that avenue and understanding what the newer vehicles are really requiring, you'd be amazed.
Well, and again, it's not all, and this is also something else that we talk with Kristen. It's not all only the newer vehicles, because I made it sound all the time that we're chasing, the industry, and she, basically throw me. Well, we're not chasing anything. We're still trying to resolve, 2012.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I mean, my research, I'm back into 2013s that require plugging in a scan tool after you disconnect and reconnect a battery.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and so I continue to go down that rabbit hole because having lived it for 20 years, I just think about how many vehicles that potentially I put back on the road that some of the systems may not function as they were designed.
Correct.
That's a problem. As simple as disconnecting a battery. As an example, there's a 2016 Infiniti, what is it, a QX60, the little SUV. There's 7 different systems that have to be relearned, initialized, not a full-blown calibration, but something has to be touched on it for it to perform the way the manufacturer said. And I think, as we all know, all these systems talk to each other. Correct. Right? So you introduce a component that's not functioning properly. At the end of the day, that can come back on you, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but having been in the body shop business, liability is a big deal. I've got to make sure that vehicle responds the same way in a subsequent accident. If it doesn't, it's on me.
Correct. Yeah, no, I agree. 100%.
So.
Yeah, so, to add to that, also something that, we were talking earlier today, they were talking, I was listening, about a test drive, right? When let's say you scan it, right? Your post scan, some codes or whatever, and you pull the procedures.
You got to go through the drive cycles.
Correct, right? So
go through drive.
And that is something that, there's no longer a 5-minute drive through around the lot and come back. Oh, I didn't hear anything.
No.
There's no wind noises.
I have to drive 35 miles an hour for X amount of time. I have to have X amount of right turns, left turns. I mean,
there are procedures for that too.
This is a different world we're living in, man.
And we keep talking about this.
The procedures, how are you ever going to be able to go to sleep at night and feel like you did the right thing? I struggle with it. right? So, I talk to shop owners, big and small, and I think in the collision space, they're starting to adopt it more at a greater rate. But, sometimes you just really kind of have to take them down, that common repair that we've all done, that we've all not followed the procedures on, and just, they got to have that aha moment.
And to be honest, and I don't mind, to share it here. I'm going through that right now, especially talking, with all of you guys. Basically, it makes me realize a lot of stuff, learn a lot, and bringing a vehicle, to pre-accident condition. It will definitely require, all these tools. It will require, to have all this in place, and it should be normal in every single shop, and what we always talk every night, your technicians, right? The quality technically of your technicians, your technician now is a doctor basically, right?
Well, I was fixing to go there when you were saying that. I mean, who would feel comfortable going into an operating room or having a procedure done? And I don't know that I ever questioned that doctor doesn't know exactly step by step what to do. Do you?
No. Yeah.
No. So we've got to understand as an industry. I mean, the reality is Mrs. Jones brings her vehicle in. It's been in an accident. We're going to put her and her family back in it. And if it doesn't respond the exact same way, that's on us in a subsequent accident, right? So how else would you do it than having the OEM procedures, right? Just because you fix it that way for 15 years doesn't mean you fix it right for 15 years, by the way.
Yep. I agree 100%. That's why I like to do this, and I wish everyone again have a subscription, use the products, pull the procedures, and most of the data is also available. It's not just that you had to pay for everything. Certain things, yes, we know that, but there's a lot of information out there.
That's fun. Yeah. I mean, you've got some great products out there. We pride ourselves in being 100% OEM unedited, and nobody else can really say that. So if you really care about the way you fix a car with quality, that may be something you want to think about.
Maybe something that you should think about.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hope there is other owners or technicians that they have that connection with their management team, that it can pull the change, and we can go in a different direction. Definitely. Yeah, we don't want to be part of any of those horror stories. We want to be part of the solution of all this, right?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
All right, Ted. So I don't know if you have anything else, around there, but believe it or not, we've been talking for almost an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish I could see you, right?
I apologize. I'm not an Instagrammer, so I apologize, but I see you. So,
but it's good that at least we can hear you fairly well, and we appreciate your knowledge and showing us even a little bit of each product that you guys offer. We do personally use it, and we do love it. And again, in all these changes that I mentioned before that that we're doing and going in that direction, ALLDATA is definitely a pillar on that change. Something pretty quick. We were also talking about, and we will probably talk tomorrow as well with Larry. We're talking about having people like how it used to be. eventually the shops have a parts guy because parts, got out of control. So now we had to have a
Sure.
parts department or a part manager.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
I know
So, so should
You're the
I
procedure guy.
enclose a little bit of in the back of the shop, a little office for a research team?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely foresee that. We didn't touch on it. I know we just got a few minutes left, but we've got a product where we take and we integrate our repair procedures into the estimating platform. So for shops that are looking for more efficiency and effectiveness out of the estimators, you think about it, if I can give you 20 minutes back per job or per estimate, and you can ride another car a day, what does that mean to your P&L, right? So what we do with that product is you extract your estimate and we ping it against our database, and then we serve up the repair procedures by line or operation.
Yeah, we
call out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
We use it. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so. You have an appreciation for the efficiency, right?
It's crazy for anyone that haven't used it. It's just pop a notification of everything that you miss, or if it is again the procedures attached to your estimate lines. That's insane.
Yeah. So I mean, you would agree with me. Touch time is critical. The more time that technicians touch a vehicle, we're all making money, right? But if I've got them out searching for something and they're not touching a vehicle, they're not turning hours. So why would you not want to look at things that would make you more efficient, right?
Yeah, and especially, and I think maybe you can help me out on this one. I've seen a few cars, if not all of them, that you got to go through a lot of information, right? And I think that's where make the information digestible is, the key right there. If you got to go through 2,000 pages, in a procedure, you definitely need a person. You can't throw 2,000 pages, print out, hit print, and give it to the technician, right?
No, that's not reality. I mean, the reality is, in my opinion, you got an estimator that goes out, looks at a vehicle, it's being torn down. You've already captured it, let's say. As soon as they spend, an extra 5-10 minutes and they can't find what they're looking for, they just stop thinking about procedures and they just keep riding, right? Because they got to get to the next one. Well, that's not doing anybody any benefit, right? So kind of to your point of having that research department, they're very well that may be what it looks like in the near future.
And that's where, as a shop owner, I see the platform, I see all the functionalities, I see the library, I see that I have, the access to someone that I can shoot an email or they will call me back in 10 minutes. That's probably our average in our shop is like 10 minutes, we get a solution.
Through our library requests?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, we try and do it under 30, so that's encouraging.
Yes. It's been like that. So I got caught up on that and I forgot what I was going to ask you. Let me see if it come back. But I got caught up in the efficiency of the library. It might come back later. This happened to me all the time. Because it's so much, it is a mix, between fresh information or stuff, that happened to us daily, that everything that you're saying, is triggering 50 questions in my head. But I think it was related to the research guy, but we're gonna have a second round of this. We're gonna have a second round probably with everyone. So
now and then you'll help me with my video. How's that sound?
There you go. All right, Chad. So I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you again, for showing the tool. And anyone that wants to contact you, what is the best way to reach out to you if anyone have any question about the product. I know someone posted that in Iran or another country they can't access. So questions like that, or any type of question, what's the best way?
Yeah, you can just reach out to me directly and I'll send it to you. I don't know if you have a way to recommunicate that, but it's chad.seelye@alldata.com. That's CHAD period.
Let me type it here so everyone had it. Yeah, CHAD dot
SEELYE @alldata.com.
So SEELLYE,
one L.
Okay, LYA, got you.
So would you repeat that back to me, please?
Yes, it's Chad basically dot SEELYE.
Correct. @alldata.com.
Perfect. So I'm gonna pin that in the comments here. So if you guys want to take a note.
Yeah, that's correct. I just saw it come up. Yep.
Perfect. So thank you again, Chad. You guys have his email address right there. If you have any question, if it's not working in your country or you can't find something in the software or anything, or you want to even add another product, I know you guys offer multiple things, and we're in the process, to bring each product
Sure.
to the family. Again, very valuable, and thank you, Chad.
Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you inviting us. And anything we can do to help the industry, just count